fuck? Was that some military shit?
You didn't see anything, okay?
Snitches get stitches.
Where's the girl? The missing girl? The one your friend snatched out of the back of the bar.
I told the cops.
Do you lie, Johnny? I don't trust people. I trust biology.
Yo, these guys are next level. They wipe out entire fucking bloodlines.
I'm looking for a young lady.
Dimi. Sukin Sun. Dimi.
Okay, we're done.
My name is Dimi.
Why her?
Viper goes to club, takes pictures of pretty girls. I send them to clients, they make choice.
These are human beings.
You think money gives a shit where it comes from?
You have a daughter?
No.
Then you won't understand.
Over at a busy job site, a foreman named Leavon Cade notices a group of criminals harassing one of his laborers. He walks over with a composed demeanor, requesting that they let the man get back to his duties, but the thugs only respond with mockery. Without providing a moment of warning, Leavon hurls a bucket filled with nails at the group and launches into a violent assault. As additional reinforcements arrive, he discards his pickaxe to slam a heavy cement bag into an attacker's chest. He then snatches a shotgun from another man, forcing the entire gang to retreat from the property. While the traumatized worker searches for an answer, Leavon simply ignores the event and continues his walk. From a vantage point above, the owner's daughter, Jenny, witnesses the entire fight and promises to keep his secret safe. Leavon Cade is a highly regarded employee at Garcia and Family Construction, a close-knit business where the owners, Joe and Carla Garcia, view him as a member of the family. While the couple looks after Leavon, their daughter Jenny has recently returned from college to manage the company's accounting. She is currently trying to convince her father to rent a party bus for a night out with friends. Joe initially resists the idea, but after Carla intervenes, he eventually hands over his credit card for the rental. Once his shift concludes, Leavon travels to a wealthy suburb to collect his daughter, Meredith, from the home of her grandfather. Dr. Roth, who shares custody on a rotating schedule, has intentionally hosted a large party on the night of the handoff to create friction and make Leavon appear unreliable. Roth characterizes Leavon as an unstable parent, plagued by anger issues, using his status as a veteran to justify the claim. He views Leavon as nothing more than a killer who cannot escape his violent nature. During the drive home, Meredith mentions that she didn't eat anything at the party. Leavon takes her out for a meal and presents her with a framed photograph of her deceased mother. She admits that her memories of her mother's face are beginning to fade, especially since Roth has purged every image of her from his house. Leavon reassures her that she shares her mother's looks. As they talk, Meredith confesses she feels a sense of resentment toward her mother for passing away, and Leavon admits he struggles with those same emotions. Later, Leavon consults with his attorney, who delivers discouraging news regarding the custody dispute. The opposing legal team is arguing that Leavon has untreated brain trauma and PTSD from his time in the service. They are now petitioning the court for supervised visitation only, which would reduce his time with Meredith from 2 hours a week to just 1 hour every 14 days. Leavon is determined to fight the ruling, mentioning he has managed to save $10,000 while living out of his vehicle. However, the lawyer warns him that the court will not look favorably on his lack of a permanent home. When the topic shifts to why Dr. Roth is so hostile, Leavon reveals the truth. Roth holds him responsible for his daughter's death, as she lost her battle with depression while Leavon was stationed overseas. The doctor is now using a team of expensive lawyers to slowly drain Leavon's resources and spirit. In another part of town, Jenny is celebrating on the rented party bus, passing out forged IDs to her friends as they move between various bars. Throughout the night, a mysterious couple follows them, taking photographs from the shadows. At their last stop, a bartender named Johnny pays close attention to Jenny and guides her to a secluded table. He sends a text to the couple, who move in the moment Jenny heads toward the restroom. They ambush her and force her into a waiting van. By Monday morning, Leavon arrives at work to find the site crawling with police officers. Inside the main office, Joe and Carla explain that Jenny has vanished. She never returned home after her Friday night outing, and they filed a report on Saturday. She even missed a scheduled piano performance. Terrified, the Garcias turn to Leavon for help. Joe mentions that his own father was a Green Beret, and he recognizes Leavon's military background. They offer him $50,000 to locate their daughter, along with $20,000 for expenses, but Leavon turns them down, claiming he has left that life behind. After work, Leavon travels into the wilderness to visit Gunny, a former comrade whose life he once saved. Leavon still feels a heavy burden of guilt because he was unable to save Gunny's eyesight during that mission, but Gunny refuses to let him dwell on it. When Leavon mentions the situation with Jenny, Gunny realizes his friend is looking for a reason to step back into the fray. He tells Leavon that if he intends to save the girl, he cannot afford any half measures. He has to commit fully to his old methods. Following the visit, Leavon returns to the Garcia home. He finds Joe alone in Jenny's bedroom, drinking while listening to a recording of her playing Moonlight Sonata. Leavon reminds Joe that after he left the Royal Marines, the Garcias were the only people who didn't turn their backs on him. He views them as his real family and gives his word that he will bring Jenny back. Leavon begins his investigation by looking through the photos Jenny and her friends took, eventually tracking her last location to a place called Skip's Bar. Inside, he observes the bartender, Johnny, conducting drug deals. He discovers a damaged security camera and finds one of Jenny's pearls discarded on the floor. When Johnny finishes his shift, Leavon uses a tracking device to follow him back to his apartment. He enters the residence with a shotgun while Johnny is using drugs. Johnny attempts to use the same story he gave the police, that Jenny simply walked off while intoxicated. But Leavon isn't convinced. He drags Johnny into the bathroom and begins waterboarding him to break his will. Leavon explains the biological reality of drowning, describing how the rush of adrenaline causes the heart to race and the body to burn through oxygen faster. Under the intense pressure, Johnny finally breaks. He warns Leavon that the people behind the kidnapping are extremely dangerous, the kind of people who erase entire families. Before he can elaborate, two gunmen storm the apartment. Leavon uses Johnny as a human shield and eliminates both intruders with high precision. After the fight, he checks their tattoos and identifies them as soldiers for the Russian mob. He takes some cash to make the scene look like a simple robbery and departs. Meanwhile, Jenny is held captive in a pitch-black room, trying to stay strong. Back at the apartment, a Bratva captain named Wolo Kolisnik arrives with two guards to inspect the scene. Wolo notices that $90,000 is missing and assumes the motive was theft. A professional cleanup crew is called in to dissolve the evidence in chemical drums, while Leavon watches and takes notes from a distance. He receives a brief call from Meredith just to check in before he follows the Russians back to Wolo's residence. Leavon observes from the window as Wolo strikes his wife during an argument. This sets Leavon off. He enters the house, blinds Wolo with hot coffee, and knocks him unconscious. When Wolo wakes up, he is restrained in a chair suspended over a deep pit of water. Leavon warns him that any loud noise will cause the chair to drop. Wolo begins making threats, claiming Leavon has no idea who he is messing with, but Leavon remains unimpressed. Leavon mocks the various names the Russian mob uses before slapping Wolo as punishment for hitting his wife. He discards the stolen cash, showing he has no interest in the money, and presents the photo of Jenny. Wolo realizes the entire conflict is over a single girl and speaks a phrase in Chinese. Leavon eventually cuts the support rope, allowing Wolo to drown in the pit. After translating the Chinese phrase, Leavon finds his next target, a man named Demi. At the same time, a high-ranking mobster named Simon arrives at the house with his two sons. After checking the security footage, Simon realizes Leavon is a professional who isn't motivated by greed, making him a major threat. He instructs his sons to track Leavon down. Across town, Leavon reaches out to a contact in the DEA to ask about Demi. He is warned that Demi is a mafia captain and that he is entering a war zone. The contact gives him a lead on a bar in Joliet that serves as a hub for Russian meth distribution. Leavon arrives on a motorcycle and begins scouting the room. Artemis, one of the original kidnappers, spotted him on the security feed and grew wary. When a biker approaches him, Leavon shows a large sum of money to gain entry to the back room. There he meets Dutch, the leader of the biker gang and a former paratrooper. When the bikers attempt to swarm him, Leavon unleashes a brutal display of combat, using everything from furniture to a decorative skull to incapacitate the men. Having earned Dutch's respect, the two sit down to talk. Leavon claims he is looking to buy large quantities of blue glass crystal meth. They agree on a price of $5,000 per pound. The following morning, Leavon meets two bikers at a diner. They take his money and give him a burner phone with instructions. He finds a pound of meth hidden under his car seat, but immediately drives to a bridge and throws the drugs into the river. Elsewhere, the kidnappers move Jenny in a suitcase to a man with a scarred face. He appears to take a disturbing pleasure in the girl's fear. When he opens the bag, Jenny bites him, causing him to storm out in a rage. Back at his base, Leavon is putting together an evidence board when Dutch calls to set up a high-level meeting. The next day, Leavon meets with Dutch and a stranger who introduces himself as Demi. Leavon uses the alias B-Coats and provides a fake ID. Once the deal is finalized, Demi gives him a briefcase of drugs and tells him to use specific emojis for future orders. After the meeting, Leavon gets rid of the drugs and searches through Johnny the bartender's phone records. He sees the same man from the drug deal appearing in several of Jenny's photos. He goes back to the bar to investigate, but Artemis spots him again and sends a crew after him. This leads to a high-speed highway chase where the Russians open fire. Leavon eventually crashes into a police cruiser, only to realize the officers are also on the mob's payroll. They seize him and throw him into a van. Inside the vehicle, the guards mock Leavon for the death of their uncle Wolo. When they try to restrain his legs, Leavon fights back, causing the van to crash. He breaks one man's leg with a hammer before finishing them both off and sinking the van in a lake. Simon finds the bodies of his sons and calls for a war council. Meanwhile, the kidnappers are ordered to execute Jenny. During the drive to the execution site, Jenny causes the car to crash and flees into the woods. She manages to flag down a police car, but the officers take her right back to the criminals. They take her to a swamp to finish the job, but a call comes in from the scarred client who wants her brought to a farmhouse instead. Simon's hacker discovers Leavon's history with the Royal Marines, and the mob retaliates by burning down Dr. Roth's home. Leavon arrives just in time to pull Roth from the flames. Roth continues to blame Leavon for the violence, but Meredith defends her father. Leavon takes her to Gunny's cabin for safety. Gunny shows him an arsenal of weapons, including M4 carbines, an MP5SD, and a classic M14. Leavon takes the gear he needs and prepares for the final assault. He tracks down Demi and kills his guards before shooting Demi through the hand to get the location of the farmhouse. Demi explains how their human trafficking ring operates, scouting girls at clubs for wealthy clients. Leavon arrives at the luxury compound and begins picking off the lookouts. Inside, Jenny is forced to play the piano for the guests. A grenade blast signals Leavon's entry, throwing the mansion into chaos. He uses his M14 to methodically clear the rooms. Dutch and his bikers arrive to join the fight, but Leavon eliminates them as well. He faces Dutch in a final struggle, eventually pinning him to a wall with a blade. Leavon moves upstairs, kills the scarred client, and takes down the man running the operation. Jenny manages to kill Artemis herself while still in chains. Leavon finishes off the remaining mobsters and corrupt police before freeing Jenny. He leaves his rifle on a pool table as a tribute to Gunny, and they escape on a motorcycle. From a distance, Simon is told by the mob hierarchy to let Leavon go, as the conflict is no longer profitable. Simon is left alone, screaming in frustration. By the next morning, Jenny is reunited with her parents, and Leavon returns to Gunny's cabin to hold his daughter, finally finding a moment of peace with his family.